give you a pretty good feel for the trip and kind of in the order of it. And then after that, I'm going to invite all of the blue shirts and even those on the team that didn't wear their blue shirt to come on up and join me up here. And you'll hear from a couple other people, and then we're going to have a question and answer time after that. So we're going to start with some slides. Our group was able to go together from La Roca and IPC basically the last full week of July. And it was kind of uncharted territory for us going out to Arizona, and I'll explain more about that later on. But I'll just kind of narrate as we go through the slides here. That will probably be the easiest thing to do. And did the TV go to sleep? Just like right now, flexibility was key during the whole time that we were there. So there we go. So White Mountain is kind of the general name for the area that we were at, and our trip was on the reservation there. And here's our whole group getting ready to leave the parking lot. We rented 2 vans. One was a 15-passenger van, and the other was a 2-passenger van that had all of our stuff in it. So it was a cargo van. 2 days drive there. And as I was planning this trip, and I was thinking, okay, it'd be great if we could find a place that was exactly halfway or close to it from Chicago to Arizona. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, well, right around Oklahoma City is about halfway. And so I thought, hey, my predecessor, Mateen Elas, went into a church in the Oklahoma City area. Why don't I contact them? And sure enough, they let us spend the night there. So we crashed in 2 Sunday school rooms. We were there and gone before anything happened. We got in about 10:30 both times and got out of there at like 6:15. So they never knew we were there, but it was great. And it was within 50 miles of being exactly halfway. So that was great. So we got to spend a lot of quality time in the van. 2 days. Some of us slept, some of us interacted, no matter what the baseball team of our choice. I think what I'll say, this was a really great time for our 2 congregations of getting to know each other, because 2 days in a van together, and you get to know each other after a while. So it was good. It was not the most, in terms of expediency, not the quickest trip, but it was really a great bonding time. So. Here we are in the dorm that we stayed at. We stayed at a mission, and it was a nice place for us to be because the women stayed on one side, the men stayed on the other. There were showers and bathrooms on each side, and then this big, large meeting room, which we basically did our planning together, devotional time, so that worked out well. This is the church where we did everything. It was basically a big tent building, and it is right on the reservation. Basically, across the street was the neighborhood of the reservation that the bus went through, and you'll see more about that. You'll see inside the church as well. Okay, this is the, wow, that was fast. This is the bus arriving. So actually, my expression there is not just the joy of seeing the kids arrive, but also, hey, we can only let 6 of you off at a time. And I'll explain that more later on. So they were getting ready inside the church, putting up all the decorations, signs, etc. More getting ready. That's kind of a makeshift wall. On the other side was a kitchen. And so the words that you see there, creator, provider, protector, those were the key words for each day for our VBS. First thing that we did every day was we brought them in and we served them lunch. So it started at about 12 and went to 3:30, 4, somewhere in there. So it was a big task just to get them in there and get them all seated. Here are some of the name tags. That was a big job the first day, getting everyone a name tag. Here's a part of the, is this the music? It's what? Day 1, story time, music, chaos. All right. They were mesmerized by Timothy and his viola, so that was a good part of music time. Sarah Holman led our music, and if you've never seen Sarah lead a group of young people jumping around, singing, it was awesome to be able to see that. So she is very versatile, and they responded well to the music. We had a little bit of a glitch with the sound system, but we were able to fix that, so it was great. Here's Christina's group. We basically broke the kids up into 4 groups, I think, and made it a little easier. And there's Christina leading one of her groups. Here we are at game time. This was the first day, and it kind of rained. We're in our little pavilion. And, like the VBS here, we spent all this time, what games worked, what didn't. I talked with the VBS coordinators here, got their input. We get there, and after like the second group, Steven goes, "Dad, you just need to let them play on the playground." And he was right, and that's what we did the rest of the time, so they just played on the playground. Okay, this is music time as well, I believe. I can tell. All right, here we are saying goodbye to the kids. This was the bus that went around and picked them up. The guy in the yellow shirt, his name is Pete. He's the pastor on staff at White Mountain Christian Church. And he would drive around and honk his horn. Remember when I had the megaphone in church and I said this could be the most important part of our, well, it wasn't. Because I get on there the first day and I'm all ready to go, hey, I got the megaphone, I'll be ready to tell the kids to come. And he goes, oh no, you won't need that, I'll just honk the horn and they'll come running. So I put the megaphone down. And so he honks the horn and he was right. And Pete is amazing because he knows every kid. He knows who they're related to, he knows which houses to go to, he knows when to wait because there'll be other kids that need to come and get on the bus. And so he was awesome. So yeah, the experience on the bus, as you can tell, Tom mentioned in the service that they took a lot of the seats out. So legally, you could probably seat 26, and I think we had an average of 65 on there most days. So there gives you a little bit of feel of what was going on during the bus trips. This is just a shot of one of the homes that the kids are coming from. It gives you an idea of the poverty that they live in on the reservation. Here is the One Work project that Juan and Pastor Gabriel and John Birch and my brother-in-law Martin were able to do. As you can see, it's just a crumbled porch on the left with all kinds of trash that was underneath it. This is actually even with a little bit of the demolition starting. So they were able to rebuild this porch. I think we have some more slides of during the progress that they made. John Birch on the left helped out with a lot of the electrical issues. And Juan and Gabriel and my brother-in-law Martin constructed the porch, so you see them working on it, and then there on the right is the completed, and they also stained it. And they had a great story because as they were working on it, the skies are threatening with rain all around them. So what should we do? Should we stop waiting for them? No, let's just keep going. And they got it done, and they got it stained and everything, and it never did rain on the point where it inhibited anything that they did, so that was great. Here we are back there in lunchtime, it looks like, to start with. More shots. Sarah on the bottom right really getting into the music, which was great. Kids responded well. This was a craft time. We really had some powerhouse crafts. They were great. And there was a room that we were able to take advantage of, because we're kind of in a big room like this, and at the end of it was a craft room. And Bev Birch led the craft time, that was really great. And, the kids really enjoyed what they prepared, and we tried to give them stuff that they could take home and they could use, like bags, they made t-shirts, there were other things. So we didn't want to just make something, oh, what a nice picture. We wanted it to be something that they would have and appreciate and be able to take home. Here's our La Roca kitchen crew, which was magnificent during the whole time. Just part of it, that's not all of it.
We ate well.
Yeah, we ate really well, and really appreciated the time they spent there. More time in the kitchen. Oh, yeah, their favorite snack, and we were told about this ahead of time, we were like, well, what should we get for the kids to eat? And my sister says, they love pickles and Kool-Aid. So Well, you see her eating, they would take pickles and you just buy the packages of Kool-Aid, and it was quite the Walmart caper to go, and we're out of Kool-Aid, and we were able to secure the Kool-Aid and the pickles, and they would just dip them down in there and eat them. And they loved that. That was a great thing. And they loved watching us trying to eat it as well. All right, here we are playing outside. That's Steven realizing that organized games are futile, so we're just going to play pickup basketball. Phyllis led a story time. We discovered a room at the end of the first day that actually my sister and brother-in-law used for an AA meeting. And what happened was we were like, we need to use this room for story time. Because the first day, I joked around about the chaos, but it was chaos because we just weren't prepared when they all came off the bus. All 60 of them, and we're trying to do name tags, and we're trying to have a story with them all together and everything else. And then we just realized, we need to break them up as much as possible into groups. And so we discovered this room where the AA meetings were taking place on the first day after our VBS was over. I asked my sister, I go, hey, can we use this room? And that was like a game changer because it confined the space and allowed us to have smaller groups. And Phyllis did a great job communicating what the theme was for the day. And as I mentioned, we also wised up, and every time the bus pulled up after the first day, it was like we ran up and said, okay, we're counting 8 of you at a time. Then we'd stop and we'd wait and make sure that they got their name tags, and we let 8 off. And that really helped the rest of the week. There's Charlie on the left with her megaphone, getting everyone's attention and helping. It looks like this is like lunchtime, probably, getting ready to transition to something else. Before I forget, the first day, I believe we had around 55 children. The second day, we had mid-60s. And then the third day, 77. And then the fourth day, 80. So, yeah, we lost count. The person counting had to go take a nap. Here are 2 of the boys that were really, let's just say, energetic. And one of the ones that Tom mentioned.
That's Levi and Amari's on the left, Levi's on the right.
Okay. They were in Tom's group, right? They were in your group. There were many times when I looked over at Tom, wondering what his disciplinary measure would be, and it was usually smiling and laughing. Which is about all you could do. It was great. Oh yeah, Tom's in the back contemplating what his next move will be. Thanks, Christina. Yeah, here's Susan and Katie, I'm sorry. Zuri and Katie with some of the girls that were in their group. This was a food distribution that we did. One of the reasons why we picked the last week of July was because we knew that there would be a food distribution that my sister and brother-in-law offered to the community. And so it was really great because what happened is a big truck would come and they would just unload all the food on pallets. And then they would put tables in front of where the pallets were. They would empty the food onto the tables. And then the people would come in and we would all be at a table all around the room helping distribute the food. So yeah, there we are helping them unload everything. This is back at the meeting place in the dorm that we stayed in on the mission. We're putting together Christmas in July. That's right, it was July 25th. And so we didn't want to come in there and just say, hey, we're giving you all this stuff because we're in a privileged position. We want it to be like an occasion. Hey, we want you to have these gifts. So everyone, those are bags on the floor that are filled with different things for them to eat and to use, to play with. So that was great. We had a family fun night on the last full night that we were there. In fact, Thursday was just an incredibly packed day because we had the food distribution, which was supposed to happen at 12 o'clock. It ended up happening at like 3 because the truck didn't come. So then we started our VBS like 45 minutes later, and everything was very compressed because then we had the family fun night scheduled after that. So this was all taking place on Thursday. So we fed the people hot dogs and getting There are other things carnitas for us to eat, but there's the people getting ready for the Thursday night family night, which was for children and adults. That's why we call it a family night. We did things geared towards them, children and families. So there's a water balloon toss, which was a lot of fun, and also was able to buy us some time for all the setup that was going on inside, because it was kind of like a big carnival on the inside with crafts that they could do, face painting, stuff that they could make, giveaways, things of that nature. So here you can get an idea of the tables that were set up, and there were prizes. You can see stuff kind of off to the right that we gave away. This was a community art project where they were able to write their name, right, on a leaf or something that they wanted to and put it together, which was really kind of a neat way for them to express themselves and their creativity. This is at the family fun night where we're all together, and what we did is we let them go around and freestyle to all the games and everything that were offered there. Then we brought them all together and we had giveaways. And I don't know if we have a slide over there. We bought a lot of Chicago sports apparel to give away because my brother-in-law said that that would be a big thing for them. You can see them, they're draped along the front there. And I gave kind of a really quick gospel presentation. It was just 4 lies we're tempted to believe and 4 truths that we do believe. And it was really geared upon the fact that God does care about us. And God does have a plan for our lives, because that's really what they wrestle with. That no one else cares about them. Why should God care about them? So that was kind of the focus of it, and then we had the giveaways afterwards. So this was Thursday night. That's my sister Fran on the left, and that's Charlie on the right, and I wanted to take this picture because this is kind of how it all started, because about 2 years ago we had a combined lunch, just like this one. We were sitting here with LaRocca and IPC, and I happened to be sitting at a table with Charlie, and we were just talking about the possibility of doing a missions trip. And then she said, you know what? I went on a missions trip when I was in younger high school or college, I can't remember. And we went on a reservation. And that was just a really meaningful time. And this was 2 months since my sister and her brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law, her husband, had moved to this reservation in order to start a ministry with AA and the local church. So I took this picture because the 2 of them are kind of responsible for the whole thing coming to fruition. So here we are at the Grand Canyon. So we worked really hard Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we drove about 3.5 hours to the Grand Canyon. There's a group shot. I'm happy to report that everyone that went came back, and we didn't lose anyone. And there were also 3 successful wedding proposals at the same time. I don't know if do we have any slides about that? So basically what happened was Pastor Gabriel and Marta decided they wanted to kind of reenact or have an official time where he proposed to her, and he gets down on one knee and he proposes to her, because I don't know if they had that originally or whatever, but what was funny is people walking by were thinking it was legitimate, so like, oh, how wonderful. And of course we were playing it up as a group too, you know. So of course once they did it, then the other married couples that were there had to do the same thing. So I proposed to Susan, and thankfully she said yes. And same thing happened with Juan and Juanita, so that was just a lot of fun. But it was amazing to get to go to the Grand Canyon. That was a great thing. There we are, all together. Is that the last one? Okay, so that gives you a sense of what our week was kind of like. 3 very intense days of BBS, a day of a BBS food distribution and a family fun night, and a trip to the Grand Canyon. And you may be thinking, well, it was just a BBS, did that take all day? Yeah, it took all day. Because there was a lot of organizing to be doing in the morning, and then when we got done, you know, we prepared our own food, and we had to get ready for the next day. And so the days were pretty packed and pretty long and tiring, but it was a great time. So I'm just going to ask that the whole group comes up, and then Pastor Gabriel or you and someone else are going to be sharing a little bit. We can probably go ahead and turn the lights back on since we're done with the slides, and then we'll have a question time after that. So I'll hand the mic over to Pastor Gabriel. Come on up, blue shirts, and those who forgot their blue shirts.
well, but what we can say, Pastor pretty much say everything. But for me and for La Roca, this was a big blessing because once in a while, maybe 2-3 times a month, a year, we invite our good friend Tomas to preach in our church. And he always invited us to go for a mission trip to Mexico and some in our country when he had some churches, and we always wanted to go, but we never were able to go until this trip happened. So we just got so blessed about this trip. It was a really, I think it was a really good experience, something that we don't expect. Like Pastor George said, which is improvised pretty much every day since the first day we get over there. That was nothing that we expected. You guys saw the picture of Esther putting the paper on the wall over there. That one stayed standing probably for a few hours after we started because the kids, they just put it down. That was an amazing challenge here for us with these kids because they got no rules, they don't follow instructions. So that was something that we had to improvise. And the first day it was kind of frustration, right, Virginia? With those kids running around. So Virginia ran behind the kids around the kitchen, and she talked to them and then just run the fast. You know, when your little dog go out of the house and then you call her, and then you get close and then you play, then she run more faster. That's how these kids were over there. But thanks be to God that little by little, they start to listen. And one of the most amazing things that I still remember, we used to go on the bus to pick up the kids, and some people go to drop it off. I went one day to drop the kids over the bus, and something that I'm still keeping in my mind, that's probably like, let's say maybe 60 kids in the bus, plus maybe 10 or 12 volunteers working for our team. And every single kid coming out of the bus, he hugged everybody. Every single one, go to Susan, to Christina, to whatever was in the bus, they hugged everybody, showing their appreciation, their love, because those kids, the only thing they need is somebody to tell them that they're special. And little by little, they start breaking out and listen and follow the instructions. And we got so many memories that we can share with you guys. The best thing to know is you need to go there and you have to live it on your own, because there's no word to express what we feel over there. Long days, yeah, we got really long days. We start about 6 o'clock in the morning every day. We get ready for 5 o'clock, some people 5 o'clock, and go for breakfast. And then to prepare our lunch. Our lunch was so special because the deal was they're gonna give us breakfast, and then they're gonna give us something to prepare our lunch to take the reservation. Well, first day we got what we got the first day? Oh, the second day? And the third day, finally we say we gotta now no more peanut butter jelly. So that was and then we end up going back to our sleeping place pretty much every day, like maybe 10 or 11 p.m. every single day. How we handle? Well, because God is good, God is great, and He gave us the power to be working those long days. So that's a big, big blessing. And remember when we say about Spanish is the language of heaven? Honestly, it is. I'm not sure why, because the first day, I think about Virginia with the, how do you call that, speakers? The megaphone tried to, the kids were ready to get lunch, and they don't listen. They just don't listen. They don't see. They just start talking, and then Virginia with the megaphone tried to sit them down. They give to me, and I took it. I say, "Silencio," and everybody stayed because maybe they say, "What is this?" Be quiet in Spanish. So see, they listen, they be quiet. So we got a really good experience. And we want to give thanks to the mission committed for Emmanuel and for everybody of you, because you guys, maybe you weren't able to go, but you guys are support with some money, and that helped a lot. And all the way there, the way back, we want to pay. Pastors, no, the mission committee is paying for our lunch. Oh, and then thanks for that. We really appreciate it. And God bless you. And then we invite you guys to come with us next year, because we're going back next year. Questions? Or somebody want to talk? Chelly? You know, this woman is amazing. She worked really hard. You see the big smile. She lost her mom like a couple weeks ago. and she's still here standing with a big smile because she was a believer. She knows she's in heaven, and God is giving Jenny all the strength she needs. So she's an amazing woman. Jenny.
Hello. So they want me to say something, so hi. I know that God is amazing, and God has a plan for everything. And the reason why we sat together at this event 2 years ago was because there was a plan for all of us to go. And my most important, or why I wanted to talk to Pastor and tell him how much I love mission trips, because I wanted to give that experience to my son. And I want to pass that down to him so he could serve other people, so he could learn to love other people. It doesn't matter their race, it doesn't matter nothing, as long as you love them, because Jesus died for all of us. So the mission trip was great. I did go. I wasn't going to go because my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I was going to stay, but my mom said, you need to go, because they need to hear that Jesus loves them. And I did, and it was great. Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches are not in the menu anymore. No, thank you. But every single person, I want to give a shout out to all of them. Every single person gave their 2,000%. We all cried because of how the situation was with the Apache Reservation. And we also realized how blessed we are with what we have. Hopefully, we will continue to go and we'll continue to spread God's love. Thank you. And thank you for contributing to the trip. It was amazing.
So we will open it up if people have questions. I'll try to do my best to repeat it. I'm going to have other people answer because I've talked enough as it is. But I just want to chime in, and Phyllis already spoke about this in the service, but one of the huge, great benefits for us going in was just the relationship building between our two churches. And it was amazing to work side by side. There's nothing kind of like being in the front lines of ministry together to really bond you. And as I mentioned, the van ride helped with all of that. But to see everyone come together and to look at each other and like, okay, what do we do next? And I don't think Christina will mind me telling the story, but after the first day was over with, she came up to, I think, Susan and I and said, you know what, I think when you're a little kid, when things are chaotic, you always think that the adults have things under control. And I think today I really saw for the first time that you don't. And it was so true. But we prayed a lot and we made some adjustments, and that was great. So again, just want to reiterate, as they have the thanks for the missions team and all of you who contributed. It was a great trip. So questions? Talk nice and loud if you can.
Tell us a little bit about your sister and her work there.
Yeah, the question was a little bit about my sister and their work there. I guess I can't hand this one off. They 2 years ago in August, they decided to move out there full time. What happened was they were living in the Kansas City area, and they were part of a church that took a missions trip out to this reservation. And my sister and brother-in-law met in AA. And as they went out and served on this mission trip, they were like, this is amazing, and this is such a problem among the Apache, among Native Americans in general. We could have like a real ministry here. And so they were both at that retirement age, kind of on the cusp of it, so they basically just retired, raised support, and then moved out there full time. So she's been out there, about a year when we started talking about it and everything, about the possibility of going out and everything formulated. So she told us about this church, the White Mountain Apache Church, and the VBSs that they'd had. They'd had some in the past, but they weren't real organized, and it was kind of like, well, they would come and take the kids to the park, and then maybe have like one Bible story. And you know how we do VBS here. I mean, we're going to go there, and we're going to do it. Right? So the relationship, that's kind of how it all started, and I've actually continued to pray for them. We'll have some literature available, but they're having AA meetings during the week and other special events. for the people there, and are working in conjunction with their church as well, other outreach ministries. So, yeah, thanks. Other questions?
Do you think the ministry got beyond the White Mountain Church, reached kids other places?
The question was, do you think that the ministry got beyond the White Mountain Church and reached other places?
Fran had told us the very Sunday before we got there, there were 13 people who attended the church. So the kids that came and the adults that came to the family fun night were not in church. So yes, it was very exciting to know that. Other questions?
Can you tell us something about the kids? Is there one big school for the reservation, or are there little towns with little schools?
I believe there's 2 reservation schools, and I know that there's a college that's just for kids from the reservation, and it's kind of a ways away. So education is very minimal. The teachers are very burned out. I don't think the kids are getting very much. The other thing to know about the kids is that the parents, I'm afraid they're so, you just feel the despair. Didn't we all feel that? It was palpable. And Bev and I were talking a lot about, yes, these kids are clinically depressed. The flat affect, the lack of smiles. You really had to win them over. They were really looking for safety in all of us, and it took some time for them to trust us. And then when they did, one of my favorite stories was just the fact that these kids, if they thought you were safe, then they would wanted to hug you. So we were getting on this bus, and off this bus, every kid would hug every one of us. And do you guys want to talk about just how good we felt? Do you want to share that piece? Okay. Okay. Well, we had been talking a lot on the bus, and especially with the younger teens, and these kids would just smile. And the one little boy on the bus, he didn't want to get off, and he was saying to one of the, when he's hanging out the window, "No, don't go," because he was so attached to one of us, all the team members. So they didn't want to get off the bus. These kids were following us. We'd go from block to block, and they would keep running for a mile to keep after the bus. And so when we were hugging them, I think we probably were on our 15th hug, and we were buzzing. I don't know how else to explain it. There was such this pure love going on, and we were saying as the helpers and as the workers, we are getting so much out of this. And just the teens that might be struggling with stuff in high school, right? They're there, and they're just in the moment, fully present. We don't have our phones on. We're highly relational, and so when I talked to the teens, it was all about the relationships that we built. So it's kind of unusual for 100% of us to want to go back, and we really want you guys to come with us. I think if we took even a bigger team, it would just be amazing. The impact that you can make is so far-reaching, and now that we've been there and we know what's going on, we would really want to encourage ideas and vision for the future to be what can we do to teach skills? We can have a full functioning vacation Bible school, but we could also teach them all about hygiene. My girls wanted me to tell them all about brushing their teeth. They wanted me to encourage them and talk about all the habits that they could have. And so they're writing in their journals, okay, I could brush my teeth, I could take showers more often, I could do all these things, and just really basic things. And so if we could have a cooking class, if we could have a budgeting class, I just think everybody in this congregation could maybe consider something that they could bring, and we could offer different classes. So we're really excited about the future, and I hope we'll be able to continue to dialogue. But if you have any specific questions about that for the future, please don't hesitate to ask.
Did you visit any of the homes of children?
We did not go into the homes except for the guys building the porch. They were in the home, and honestly, I don't know if one of you guys wants to say what you saw, but they should have been in hazmat outfits with those, what do you call the filters, the masks.
Yeah, Juan and John and myself, we got the opportunity to get inside the house where you guys saw that we were building the porch. And only Jesus was saying, yeah, you need a whole mask. It has the suit completely. That the house was so dirty everywhere you touch. We don't even touch nothing. Even the shower, the tub is like a mold all around. And people's living in there. So, but yeah, that's only how we were able to get in. And probably that's how everybody is. Every house is pretty much the same like that. We've been working in the porch. And then, it's so sad that there's people there, but maybe that's how they've been living forever. We've been working in the porch and we see a young guy inside the house playing video games and smoking marijuana that we can smoke outside the porch, but that's their life, and that's going to the kids. But it's like a circle, let's just go from that grandfather to the father to the kids, and that's why we want to go back, because we want to break that chain. Because we have to go somewhere else, or maybe every 2 years, and they say, no, we need to come every year to reach those kids and see those kids' lives change, maybe going out of high school and then college and something different. Want to make the difference in those kids, but that's how they live over there. It's so sad. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Mexico and see a lot of things over there, but the first day, Juan and I, we just outside the church, and 2 little kids, maybe like 3 years old, they just walking through the church. And then they asked for money. Can you guys give us some money? And I think Juan got some coins. He gave some coins. And I asked the kids, well, about this baby, maybe 3 or 4 years old. Where do you guys live? They say, oh, they're going like in the hills over there. And where do you guys going to? We went to the swimming pool. Where is the swimming pool? They just point to another far away direction. He said, are you guys walking alone over here? But that's how they are. They look at the family, the mom and dad, they just don't care for the kids. They just grow up like wild kids. If not, just talk to them and ask them about Levi, that little kid over there. Yeah, maybe Tom still having dreams about it. But it was a blessing, so thank you.
I think too, what was interesting to see in the kids and sad was that in the really younger kids, they were happy, they were glad to have the activity, but you could almost tell as they got older, they were coming to grips with the hopelessness of their life. So as the kids in the older age group, you already mentioned one of them that was about 11, they didn't really want to be there because they get it. They see what the cycle that their parents are caught in. And so all over the map we had to deal with kind of this spectrum of emotional response from them too, and what was going on, which was tough to see. I wanted Virginia or Bev to just talk about your car ride home and what you were thinking in terms of, because we were all wondering, as we're going home, well, will everyone want to go again, or how's that going to work? So who wants to talk about it?
Virginia started it, and Virginia started.
Yeah, so it was a really logistically challenging, after the first day, it was really difficult, as Pastor Gabriel was sharing. So we were able to come up with some structure, and it made things much better. And so on the car ride home, I rode with the Birches, and so we spent a lot of time talking about specific things we could do to make things better for next time around. And so actually I typed it all up in a list that I can share with anyone who's interested. So
that gives you an idea of the excitement level and just the fact that they spend all that time already making a list, and we've already had a reunion since we've been back, so everyone's talked about how we want to go back. So anyway, more questions.
You think about the people that are in very compromised situations here, like in the Chicago and the areas that are very disadvantaged, and in other parts of the world and things like that. But one of the things that strikes me there is the isolation, which reminds me of my mother did work in Appalachia back right after World War II. And again, that isolation where they don't have a lot of input. Are these people, do you see the effects of that isolation because of their physical surroundings, or do they do things like watching television and then thinking, oh, there is something else out there that we're missing, that type of thing? Or are they truly isolated where they're not really getting that kind of contact?
Well, one comment I can make to that is on the airplane, the 8-seater little jumper that I was on, I got to get to know everybody on that plane. And one of the ladies was a local who lived right outside of the reservation. She was obviously not Native American. And she said, I'm going to just be honest with you, we all do this. We just pretend it's not there. And so they have blinders on, they don't want to get involved. She goes, you go and volunteer, and then you feel so much despair. You feel how heavy-hearted it is, and you give up. And the system is so broken. They're getting plenty of money from other resources that different people I've met. The government's doing great. They are funneling some money in there. there. But the way that the money comes to the people, it just doesn't. There's many different reasons. And one is their own people stealing from them, just like our government, our officials, people are skimming the pot. So yes, I would say a lot of isolation, and because everybody is kind of depressed and everybody's starting to drink at like 5 p.m., these people, a lot of these, they're just so sad and so full of despair that they're hungover in the morning. These kids are running free. Now they're getting into trouble, and so you just see the cycle. And so, yes, I think it's isolation, and it's just this vicious cycle. It's just kind of sad.
Yeah, but part of what I'm saying is, do they see, like, for example, you come in and they see there is something different, because obviously you're not coming from where they are. But also, do they watch television? Do they, have communication coming in from the outside that makes them looking at things like, well, there
That's a
is
good point,
something,
yeah.
but it's not accessible to us?
Yeah, they all have cell phones, and they have TVs and satellite dishes on their house that's falling apart. So they have full access to what's going on out there, but they don't have skills, and they don't have marketable things to leave the reservation or a way to leave. When you're on the reservation, you get free health care, and you get everything supplied to you, so they are comfortable, and to move outside of that, you would have to have so much more money and so many more skills. So people don't even think to leave.
I'm curious about what aspects of Apache culture you all really appreciated and valued while you were there.
This is not exactly an answer. Part of the sadness was they've lost their culture, their language, the way they used to do things. They might even know less about it than we do as a whole. And it's sad.
Yeah, we were going and thinking, hey, we could learn Apache songs or teach them Apache songs, or they could teach us. And I was like, no, they don't really care, which was sad. One of those adjustments we had to make.
A mí me gustaría, Pastor Gabriel, ¿me puede traducir? Todas las experiencias.
Oh, well, she said if we can translate all and talk about all the experience. And
Yo pienso que las han transformado a todos los que fueron.
Okay, the old experience that transformed everybody who went over there, and so you need to go out and get some food for dinner, because for that it's going to be a long time. But we can say something, that we can share some experience.
Me gustaría escuchar ya los escuché a todos los mayores que han pasado. Me gustaría escuchar a uno de los 4 jóvenes que fueron de la Roca Eterna, ¿cuál fue su experiencia?
Muy bien. She says she would like to hear one of our 4 teenagers from the Roca who went over there to share the experience. So we got Estrella, Julián, David, and Suri. Who's going to be the brave one to come?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Suri, can you talk to them about the experience of the bathroom, please? Yeah. When we went driving over there?
Sorry.
Okay, so let's talk about the Kool-Aid.
Well, the Kool-Aid was interesting. It wasn't the most tastiest.
But I was really proud of her because she put the pickle in the actual grape Kool-Aid. I was really proud of you. And then what did you do the night of the family fun night? What table were you at?
Spray paint. Spray painting some tote bags for the kids to be able to carry their prizes home or anything that they wanted to take home.
And did just the kids do the tote bags?
No, some of the moms were very aggressive. They really wanted the bags. Yep, and one dad.
Thank you, Suri. We got to maybe the experience for our teenagers that was so great. And I remember I think that was Thursday night, Susan used her skills to let us share. Well, I was on Thursday morning, and then the devotion in the morning, she got a big stick like this, and then she got like a little plant with roots and then a stone, right? Remember? I still remember correctly? And then she said, okay, this stick is you feel anger, right? And the plant is you feel like a roots of grief. And the stone, that's joy. And then we started sharing everybody. That day, everybody broke out and started crying. And again, those little kids, they can't stop crying. Why? Because by that day, we already heard many sad stories. Like one 30-year-old girl that she was pregnant. And she was talking to my wife. And she asked my wife, can you take me home with you? Can I come with you? And there was another one that touched those kids' hair. She was, I think one of the, I think it was on Thursday, it was her birthday, and she was crying and crying, and my wife asked her, what are you crying for? She said, because I got nobody to celebrate with. So, but you're gonna be with us tomorrow. You can come tomorrow, we can celebrate with you. And she just keep crying and crying. Then my wife asked this little girl, what do you want? What do you want like a present? She told me, what is the most thing that you really want for your birthday? And she said, what? A bag of chips. A bag of chips. And that touched these kids hard because they asked for the iPhone 11 that is coming soon probably. And whatever that's most expensive thing. And this little girl, she was asking for a bag of chips, barbecue chips. And obviously the next day they went to get a big bag of chips and give it to her. And she was a happy girl. That's how they live. They just ask for a bag of chips. And those kind of things touch our kids. And that's why we're so glad that they come with us. And we invite more teenagers to come with us next year to see it, to see how they live over there. They got nothing, no family, no law, no nothing. And then we got everything out here. And those things touch our teenagers so deeply.
Okay, when tables are being rolled away and chairs stacked, that's usually a sign that it's time to stop. But we're available if you have more questions, right? We're available if anyone wants to ask us about it. Does someone from the missions team want to come up and pray? I've prayed enough today, probably. Do I have any takers? All right, Bill France is coming. You can leave the apron on, Bill, that's okay.
It's the wrong blue.
Yeah.
Please join me in prayer. Father God, we've heard about these children and these men and women at the Apache Reservation, and our hearts go out to them. It breaks our heart to see how desperate they are. So Father, we lift that up to you. And then we thank you so much for this team that has gone out. We thank you for the resources that we could put together to take them and send them out. And we pray now, Lord, that the success of this mission will be replicated the next time they go and we join them. So Father, we thank you for this time that we've had now, and we thank you for all that we've heard and for these stories, and we pray that they would work in our hearts through your Spirit. We ask that in your precious Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.